What is up, everybody, and welcome to another session of Nerd Doom. Today, we have with us me, I'm Addie. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm joined by my husband, Mike.
Hello.
We also have our special guest here and our cohorts here with us. We have Mel.
What's up, everybody?
And Jeff.
What's up?
Gregory. So today's topic of sessions, we are going to be talking about TCG or trading card games.
Woo!
Woo! So to kind of get into it here a little bit, we're going to go over a little bit of the history of three major trading card games that are out here in the world. There's more, obviously, but these are three, again, major ones that have influenced. Yeah, the ones that matter.
The one that everybody cares about.
So, if anyone really knows any more about trading card history, it started off mostly in 1993 with Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
Of course, they were sponsored off by Wizards of the Coast. For them, it's really funny. The CEO was approached by another guy, friend of his, was like, hey, I want to make this board game. And he was all like, well, I want to make this board game, but you don't have the resources for it. So here's this card game that people can play while they're sitting down waiting in line at cons. Ta-da! Magic the Gathering.
Shit, I'm bored. Let's put some cards on the ground.
Yep.
I mean,
lines are long.
Yeah.
I've done it.
We'll play RPG.
I mean, not Magic necessarily, but playing
Because we
a
don't
card
have
game in a line, I've done that.
We don't have enough time to set up a D&D match mid-line, so...
Just throw some cards down on the ground.
Wizards.
We're good.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is an American-based trading card game. Now, of course, the two major ones everyone knows about, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, those are Japanese-based. Pokemon came first in 1996. We actually have Satoshi Tajiri. I think I pronounced that right. I apologize if I didn't. He was inspired to create Pokemon because of the Game Boy and its cable capabilities. So he's like, oh, let me make this video game. So he created Pokemon Red and Green, I believe, first.
That's correct.
And then from there, it became really popular and expanded, and then it got an anime, and the anime became really popular, and then the card game came along.
Was it Red and Green? Or was
It was
blue?
Red and Green. And Blue came out as the one-year special edition,
Yeah.
and then the yellow version came out a year after Blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, in America, I'm sure people are like, but 93, but we didn't get it until blah, blah, blah. Well, that's because we got the anime first, and then we got the card game over here, partnered up with, I believe, Wizards of the Coast. So they licensed with Nintendo and got the card game out here in 1999.
Yep.
Just saying, America was first.
America!
As I wear these overalls.
Yes.
So, and then, of course, Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Started up in the manga originally in 96. Basically, the creator was like, I really like video games, I like games in general, and I like drawing, so I'm going to create this manga about this kid who's kind of weak and everything and gets possessed by this game-loving person. And manga originally, and of course the anime too, season 0 over here in America, was basically just Yugi doing random games. And one particular game he played called Magic and Wizards became extremely popular after it aired in Shonen Jump. And from there, fans were like, hey, about this card game that they were playing, is that coming out? And of course, then his name was Kuzuki Takahashi. He found out about it and then was like, oh, okay, well, I'll expand on it. And ta-da! Yu-Gi-Oh! In 1998.
Yay!
And it eventually did come up over here, and they partnered with Upper Deck in America and Konami.
I find it so funny that a card game existed just because like fans were like, yo,
I like it.
that thing.
Yeah.
I want it. Can I have
Yep.
it? Isn't that how most games go?
It's like one of the first. You just don't think about the fact that the fan base was like that in a card game as well.
I mean,
now definitely.
I mean, if a fan base can get a movie started, then
Well, yeah.
Sometimes they shouldn't get a movie.
Well, I mean, in the spectrum of like back in the 90s. Like,
Yeah.
it's, like this is back then when studios was like, fuck the audience, we're gonna do what we want.
Yep.
cause money.
Not even just because of money, just because they felt like doing
They
it.
could.
That too.
Think about half the 90s cartoons that we
Oh,
watched.
the ones you probably shouldn't have watched, but you did anyway.
Right.
Yep.
So, with trading card games, or TCGs, you have, let's see, which one did you get into first? And we'll get into, like, what drew you to them in a minute, too, but, like, which one did you first get into? I'll start, it was Pokemon for me.
Now, when you say get into, do you mean like
What drew you into trading card games
trading
first?
card games in general, not
Yeah.
just like technically it's MTG. Like
Magic the Gathering for you?
Gathering. I did have Pokemon cards, but it was mostly just because rich kids like gave them to me, and I was like, cool, I get to have them. I did play it, but I didn't play it seriously. It wasn't. I didn't like get really like into like trading card games until like Magic the Gathering. That meant like actually going out and buying packs and doing drafts and stuff.
So that's what I mean. Like, what got you into it? Like, what made you physically go out and buy cards?
Ah, okay.
So again, for me, it was Pokemon. It was because mostly I liked the characters, I liked the artwork, and I played a little bit of Pokemon for a while, and then kind of quit because the gameplay was just too confusing. And also, I'm really stupid competitive, and I don't like it when I lose, and I kept losing. So, male.
Yeah, I want to say I had Pokemon. I had the Pokemon cards first, and I think I was given some originally, and then I bought some because I liked playing the game and I liked the artwork, and so like I went out and bought them. I didn't know how to play the game. That was the thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know how.
So you were more into the collectability.
I was just collecting them because like I like to play the Pokemon the video game, like red and blue version, and yellow version. So I would just get them because I just liked to collect the Pokemon, almost like I was playing the game.
What was yours?
Well, the first cards I had were Pokemon cards because my parents were like, "Oh, he likes Pokemon," so anything that had the Pokemon label on it, they bought. It didn't matter; it could just be whatever, just for the one little bit.
Right.
They're like, "Oh, it's Pokemon, so here it is." Sometimes you luck out and get some good things. Sometimes you get the like really bad knockoff stuff.
Yeah, I remember
It
that.
can be super fake in those boxes.
Yes.
Like,
You
definitely tell
actually
it's
get
not
more of that.
from-
You get more problem with that now with Pokemon cards than you do then.
That's because it's so much easier to distribute like cards like that.
Yeah.
There's way more technology out there to
But-
figure out some cards.
I so far from what I've learned just from watching stuff online, don't get anything from China. It's most likely fake.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a universal thought process in general. Like, I mean, clothing,
handbags. But anyway, so
All the things.
now evolution. We're gonna like the evolution of which trading card games you got into. Again, started with Pokemon, and then I moved into Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Same.
Mostly because I liked the storyline from the anime.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the cards, and I liked the style of play. It was far easier than Pokemon.
Yes.
And the artwork on the cards were a little bit more mature, and I liked them a little bit more. And the fact that there were certain effects that some had, and just you could just go bam, pow, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Rather than flip this coin, add a counter. Then you have to like, can I just hit for 2,000 and we're good? Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
To be honest, for me, the only reason I started Yu-Gi-Oh afterwards was just because I was lonely. Like, that's pretty much it. Like, it was just I have friends. And we need friends to do things together, and that was pretty much it. Like, I probably for the longest time I didn't really want to get away from Magic the Gathering at all.
Yeah, but at that time it
I
was
looked at
shipping.
I was looking at the rulings for like Yu-Gi-Oh, and I was like, this is fucking stupid. Like.
Simple.
And like, I guess for me is when it changed so much. It was away from a lot of cards I liked. Like, I was big into fighting type cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh stage, and they kind of like nerfed the shit out of them during the synchro phase. And so like for me, I kind of just got into it, like just because like me and friends got it together, and I kind of played it
big
ever since
into
then.
like early college for us, didn't it?
Yeah,
Shoot.
when it became that was also the biggest reason why I even got into it, just because the whole TCC like group like was into Yu-Gi-Oh, and so like it was kind of like one of those situations like, why not? Like, if you're not in the group and don't play, you're kind of just weird kind of situation. You're just sitting there being creepy.
Yeah.
Like some people.
That or you were watching anime, one of the two.
Yeah.
No, how I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually, a friend of mine, he just had a shoebox of duplicates, and as we were like 12, 13, it was when Yu-Gi-Oh! Had first came to the United States,
Right.
and all that, and he was big into the show because he had cable, so he had WB and all this. I didn't have. We had local.
A daycare cable.
No, so at my house we only had local at the time.
Yep.
And so when I would go over to his house on Saturdays, we'd watch Yu-Gi-Oh! And then one time he just dumped all these cards on me. Now they were crap, and he wasn't good at teaching, so he also just dumped like a
The playbook?
little player's manual. And so I was thumbing through the cards and stuff, and then my grandmother, she saw and she looked and was like, oh, what's that? And I tried to explain, the best I could to her, and then she went out and bought me like all these cards. And
She
like
bought him Obelisk the Tormentor. Like,
Oh, I
she
remember you
went
telling me
that
about
the original.
I
hardcore.
thought you said she got you at Luxodia, or was that too?
She got me Exodia. She got me.
She was, like,
she
best
special
grandma.
ordered that though. That
Yeah,
was
I know.
hard
I
to
was
find
hearing that.
down.
My aunt was the one who spoiled me. My aunt Ginger. I actually still have it. When she went to St. Augustine, she got me that box that's over there, or is it on the living room? One of the two.
right
It's right here. And on it, it's painted. It has a little Pikachu that's been painted on. It says my Pokemon cards, and it has my name on it.
That's
and
so
then she
cute.
bought me like a small booster pack, and like the booster pack she bought me was my very first holographic Pokemon card, and I still have it. It was a Pidgeot, sorry. And I refuse to give it up, even though it's not worth anything anyway.
Yep.
But it's pretty, and I like it.
Yep.
Now what drew you into Yu-Gi-Oh? I know you played for a little bit.
Yeah, so I started to play because mainly, like I said, because I collected the Pokemon cards because I like the Pokemon. Yu-Gi-Oh! It was one of those things, like, at first I did not play. It was my brother. He played with his friends and was, like, really into it. And this is when we were still young. And so, like, I would watch him play with his friends, and, like, what first drew me in was the artwork. Because I like, again, the artwork, like, that's always a big thing, is I love art and all that.
I think
so
one of my draws for it was the dragons in Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually
Yes.
looked like dragons.
Yes.
Yeah, not Dragonite.
Derp dragon?
That's the best dragon.
Hey, Charizard was the only one that
No,
actually looked
it
like a dragon.
And he wasn't even a real dragon back in the day.
What was he? It was just fire type, right?
Just
Yeah.
straight up fire. And they changed him to fire.
But yeah,
flying.
so I used to get, like, I would like to look at the cards that my brother had, and I just sit there and look through all the artwork that he had. And then one time we got, I can't remember who gave it to us. I can't remember if it was a random kid or if it was like a random cousin. Had a bunch of cards, and like some were from Japan, and they gave us to him. And again, it was a shoebox. Actually, now that I think of it, it was a shoebox. It wasn't like as much as yours. Like, it was a smaller amount, but still, like, and there was a Japanese, I want to say, dark magician in there. And also, like, I was watching the anime on Saturday mornings. Like, we would watch that because that actually came on local TV.
That show got
After a while.
After a while, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
so-
show got intense. As
Oh
it
my
got
gosh.
Further in.
Yeah, so
At least for,
I-
intense for a kid.
yeah, like
No.
as a kid, you're like, this
Sure,
is awesome.
intense.
Yeah,
Back then, compared to Pokemon.
yeah,
I hated both anime.
Yeah.
Pokemon
I couldn't
anime was just
understand when I was a
not.
kid.
It
Oh, I
was
loved it.
annoying.
Ash
But-
never ages.
I would
Yeah,
have punched that dude in the throat.
Couldn't stand Ash. I hated Yugi with a passion.
but
Yugi's
But
more
now
likable
Yugi's
than Ash, though.
This
I'll
is
give
true.
him that.
no,
yeah.
no, I hated both of them.
Did you ever play? I know you kind of played a little bit with it in college,
I-
didn't you?
I did.
Okay.
So yeah, once I was hanging out with my brother and watching his friends start to play while we were younger, I think finally somebody got me. I can't remember if it was. I think I actually was given Kaiba's starter deck.
I bought Kaiba and Yugi.
Like
I
I
had
think
all
I think
four.
my brother had.
Had
I
three
got Joey's
copies.
too. Sorry.
I think my brother had Yugi, and then we were given like a lot of cards that were from the Joey starter pack. But I think someone actually gave me a Kaiba starter deck. I can't remember which one. It was one of those starter decks was my first, like, that actually someone gave to me, and then that's kind of what got me into it, was that plus seeing him play. So I started to play with him and his friends, and then as I got older, and then we went to TCC, and like everybody started to play it, and at that point I was like collecting them and getting packs. To be honest, I wasn't always getting them by honest means.
Girl.
Nah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
too?
Oh yeah.
The Shonen Jump magazine.
Oh
they
my-
had the card.
I
in
was
it.
the worst.
Until they figured out to put the plastic over it.
Yep.
That didn't stop me.
I was gonna say, that didn't stop me
I
at
was
all.
the
Bang, girl.
I
worst.
definitely got a couple promos because of that.
I never
I
did that. I never did that
was
to the Shonen Jumps. I did.
the worst.
I did steal a holographic card out of a Pokemon deck booster pack when I was 10.
Yeah.
I opened it up, pulled the hollow out, stuck it in my pocket, took the pack and the extra cards to the front desk and said, I found these on the shelf in the produce aisle. They were opened.
Oh my god.
The lady gave me the look like, but didn't say anything, and I walked away.
Oh my god.
The fact that you took the time to even say anything is just hilarious to me.
That was me. That was me trying to equal out my guilty conscience for doing that, and I never did it again after that.
What guilty conscience, man?
You know, it's so.
That's why Shonen now
it's
mails
so
you
funny
your cards.
I remember there was one time where like we got caught because we tried to do it.
You got caught.
Oh yeah, okay, so we were really stupid. Normally we would do it in places like, and this is back when we still had like Movie Gallery, and Movie Gallery carried them, right? Movie Gallery was extremely small of a store, and so
you don't pull that.
That's why
off.
you do it at Publix.
we would do it at Publix or like Walmart, you know. But then one time, and then that's actually like the last time we did, is because we actually got caught, and I was like, "Thank you for catching us," because like I feel like we would have just kept going.
Oh man. It was so
I know a
easy
lot of our
movie
friends.
gallery.
It was
college
so
were really
easy,
bad
though.
about it.
Oh yeah.
It was so easy in movie gallery for me because.
But I was a kid, like
Okay.
I was still like when this happened. I was still like, I think I was like maybe 9.
Showing our age today, aren't we?
Like 9,
Some.
10.
Yeah.
It was close to that
Some.
because my brother's 2 years
Yes.
older than me, and like he was at the age where like they were actually playing it like for reals.
Right.
And then
Yeah,
I started to get to that, but it was later because I was younger.
I remember getting into it, playing it, and then stopping for a while because they
I
changed
stopped.
the rules like too much, and I was just like, I can't keep up with this, and also I want to focus on school and getting older, and teen angst. You don't understand
I
me,
got
Mom.
out of it, and then when I came back to CCC and saw everybody else playing, I'm like, wait, there's other people that play Yu-Gi-Oh besides my one friend.
Yeah.
Well, that and the gameplay got a little bit more simplified. What was it? Before you had the fusions, which were like hella hard to get out, and then synchros came in, and you're like, this is easy.
Well, the problem was that even like you thought that make it easy, but all it did was complicate the game.
It
Yep.
did.
Yeah, some people just didn't get
The
it.
amount of screaming matches that like people had when we were at TCC
No, that's
plays,
not how
when
it
it was like,
goes.
I
especially in
do remember.
multiplayer,
I remember those.
and nobody would just think, just read the card.
Yep.
like
It's printed on there for a
it's
reason.
pretty obvious,
Yeah.
and people would like
That
try
used
to
to-
like make it so much more than it really is in the
That
card.
used to drive me crazy because
like,
I would
grammar,
sit there.
please.
Well, also it drives me crazy now that I think about it because I'm an English major. Like, and I would sit there and they wouldn't read the cards, and I'm sitting there just like, just read the fucking description. Sorry. Like it was like just read the card. Read the card. Like it's killing me, and they just
so
sit there and
funny.
like, but you're wrong because blah blah, and I'm like, what
Nope.
cards is this? Like,
I would literally grab somebody's card and be like, if like they played it, I'd be like, I don't know that card, and I'd be like reading it.
Yep.
And they would give me this look like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm reading your
it.
card.
Yeah.
And I
that's
would
what it's
read it,
printed
and
on
I
there.
would put it back down. I'm not going to
Exactly.
take your
Yeah.
card.
I
thing
love
is-
that. People will freak the hell out when you read
Yeah.
the card. It's
But-
like, what do you expect me not to read the card? You
That's
think I know
what you do.
every card that's in this damn
I
deck?
know.
I know my cards. I don't know yours.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know yours.
Yeah.
I would always do
Except
that.
for I managed to memorize your brother's deck because he always tried to face up against me.
That's because
Yeah.
her brother is really shitty at building, so everyone knew what he was building.
The gear deck, it was working for the most part.
Oh.
Unfortunately, he.
But
just,
there's only
he
one way
never
to
could
build
ca-
a gear deck.
I know, but he never countered me.
It was
Yeah.
too slow, one. Two,
really
he
was.
tried to fuse it with cybers, which you don't do ancient gears with
I remember
cybers.
that.
You pick new machines or old machines, not both.
Sorry, bruh.
No, besides Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, anybody
Or
else?
he's still shaking.
I know you
Damn.
mentioned.
We're doing MCG right now.
I know you mentioned Magic the Gathering. You're more into that, right?
Yes, I have been MTG since I was a kid. Maybe it's just because I've always been a Wizard of the Coast fan. I mean, because of RPGs and shit. So MTG's always been a part of my life. I guess the biggest difference between MTG and Yu-Gi-Oh is how they're actually set up.
Yeah.
And set up in terms of like how the tournaments are instead of like Yu-Gi-Oh is pretty self-taught. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
you go, you do a standard, you do your what is it? It's standard now. Is it called standard or is it called advanced? I can't remember what's it called. Like the actual like decks that is tournament ready or like legal. In the sense. I can't
I don't
remember.
know.
the
There's
name.
the legal
there's
deck
not
that-
a name.
there's
It's
the
just
legal deck.
legal.
Yeah, I just know it as legal and old school.
There is names for them because you have traditional, which is the like it's not necessarily legal for tournament ready, but
Well,
you can
there's-
still play
yeah.
it. And there's a lot of cards that are banned that are just limited instead.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
call it
Yeah.
like
And you have
OCG
just straight up
versus
the
TCG.
forbidden
That's
decks.
what they call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have forbidden decks. I don't remember. I think it's called advanced for the other ones. But in MTG,
Yeah, yeah.
there's standard, modern, and then like a bunch of other stuff. But the difference is that in Yu-Gi-Oh, they build theirs more so for everyday play, so it's like casual or like people that do tournaments. So the way their cards are in there is very different. In Magic, they set it so that it's specifically for doing what is called booster drafts. Booster drafts basically are like types of tournaments where you take a booster that's out at that point, and you buy, and each one of them buys 3 packs.
So that's the draft thing now,
yeah,
right?
it's called booster drafts.
Yeah.
And that's how Wizards of the Coast actually releases their decks. Specifically
Well, I mean, they
for that,
wanted
'cause
it
that's
to be
kind of
like
the way that it's done.
Well, they wanted it to be a quick sit down, let's play thing. So
Well, there's 2 things that goes really well with that. It's one, it's made for some type of tournament, which is kind of the favorite out of all of it because everyone's kind of equal in what they can do.
Luck of the draw.
Like,
literally.
Yeah.
really
what
is
you
random.
pull out of your
Yeah,
packs
it really
is what
is
you
random
got.
in what you can do, and also based on how well you can build a deck for what you got. And then 2, it makes it a lot easier to build for a deck that you want because you get a lot more cards out of it. Everyone's doing the same thing. Everyone's buying 3 decks and passing it around kind of situation and playing a deck in it.
my thing with what I've seen so far between these 3 major decks are decks. We're gonna call them decks. Games. Magic has more lasting hold in terms of gameplay or playability, whereas Pokemon. Well, I guess I couldn't say that because I know their Pokemon tournaments are a thing.
Oh yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments are a thing, and of course, Magic the Gathering tournaments are a thing. So.
All the things.
But I feel like people who do Magic are a little bit more mature than the ones who do Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I've noticed a lot of people who do Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments, they're just like, oh, in your face, at least the ones here locally. I'm just like, I just want to play.
Yeah, that's why I stopped.
I think it has a lot to do with not just the way it's sold to people.
Yeah.
Because MTG is, again, straight out of Wizard of the Coast, which makes the D&D, which is the D&D publisher.
Yeah.
So a lot of American RPG, Western style based tropes are in any of the booster packs, which is more geared towards the adult ages, the people that's been playing like a lot of RPGs, and a lot of people that do tabletop gaming a lot. Which at least in Tallahassee, that's between like 25 and 40, so 45. So I mean, most of the people I know that are DMs or like that are fellow players are like up in the 30s and shit. So
and so other than those 3 major card companies or not companies but games things, we also have some new, or I don't want to say new, the ones that tried to make it through. And I think we all at one point had cards from these just because of either Shonen Jump or I got one small deck from a parade here in town. And then another one I got from Shonen Jump, and the other one I never even got, just because I just never came across it, was Bleach, DBZ, or Dragon Ball Z, and Digimon.
Oh, man.
No.
Digimon I got out of the parade here.
No, I didn't know that Digimon had a...
Digimon, it was actually fun.
Like, I didn't know.
I never learned how to play it. I tried to, but I couldn't.
I didn't know that they had one either.
Oh, I
didn't
love
last
my
very long.
Digimon cards. Yeah, it was...
That's kind of sad. I like Digimon.
Yeah, it didn't even last as long as the first season. Really, it was still better than some other card
I think
games.
it made it like 2nd season and then it stopped.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
I played a lot of DBZ. That was going around for a long time.
Yeah.
That I think it was like, I think it's still going, kind of.
Kind of,
I don't
like-
know. I just know it was going around and it kind of like died off for me, or in the late 2000s.
They tried a Bleach one.
Oh god.
No, oh my god!
was so
I just remembered
shitty.
another one. They tried Full Metal. They did try.
Full Metal one.
That
yeah.
one didn't work.
That felt more like a collector's item to me.
Naruto.
It was.
As well as-
I mean, it had to have a
too.
game.
It
Gameplay
turned
mechanic,
more
though.
into. It turned more into one.
Yeah.
What else?
Naruto tried one too.
Yeah, Naruto tried one. Bleach.
Maybe that's
What did you
long.
say Bleach
Yeah,
was
that's
like?
pretty
The Naruto
It
one
was like they had
actually,
like what, one booster for Bleach, and then that was
One.
Like,
They
yeah,
literally like.
and that's
they
all
had-
they could get
when
out.
They released
'cause
them,
no
there
one
was
else.
like 2 separate like decks, and you buy the 2 decks, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the Naruto one?
The Naruto ones, I can't remember how I got that. I think it was probably like Show and Jump or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's
I got
usually
one
how
from
it
the
goes.
But
video
I
game.
will say, like, because the couple cards that like I did have, like the descriptions and stuff, like I was like, oh, this looks like it would be easy to learn how to play,
Yeah,
and like
Yeah.
that'd be actually interesting.
Yeah,
I
I
never
saw the
got
packs.
more cards. I can't remember why. It was just it was.
They
I
were
guess
really that easy to get a hold
mistiming.
of. I remember when I got
They
the
were.
I got the Digimon cards in the parade, and then I went to Toys R Us, and they were the only ones that were distributing it.
Yeah.
And then after that, you couldn't find them anywhere.
Yeah.
Now, the Full Metal Alchemist one, the only reason I found out about it is because I got one of the mangas, and inside the manga was a special card, and you open it up, and you had a little mini packet that was in there. You could open the packet, and I think I got... What did I get? I got Lust.
Nice.
I had a Lust card. It was cool, but I didn't see it as a game. I saw it more as a collectible item, as you said.
Right.
So that, again, that never really got far
Most
either.
of the shonen ones.
I had my senpai. I had Kakashi.
I had. I remember. No, I had.
Oh, I
it
do
was-
remember the Naruto ones now.
Yeah.
I had Naruto, but he was dressed up in Goku's clothes. It's like
Oh,
That's
he only
actually-
came in.
Wasn't that a show and jump one?
It was no. It was in a game. Remember
It was
the
That's
Wow.
right. Yeah.
Ultimate Ninja Storm 3?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's
gotta
right.
get in there.
What was another one that I
Yeah,
remember?
Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm.
Like another card game?
Yeah, they tried a Harry Potter one.
Oh yeah, I
That
remember
didn't last
that.
very
That
long.
was.
Harry Potter's just...
There was a Star Wars one, but it was more of like I think collector.
No, that one's still going,
No,
but it's
no,
not as
that
strong.
one's
No,
still.
that's a thing.
It's
That's
Yeah.
a thing.
Okay.
but
I couldn't
it's-
remember. I had some of those cards.
I mean, I don't know how popular it is.
It's still going, but it's not nearly as strong as the other three major ones that we
I
mentioned.
think it's more.
Yeah, it's no tabletop game.
No.
Definitely not.
To go along with it, like, so those are old ones, and they either they're still going and we just don't really know about them, and there's a small niche for them, or they failed.
Yeah.
Ones that are succeeding right now are ones, say, like, you've recently found out and told me about it, Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Game of Thrones came out in 2002. I didn't know it came out that long, but a
Ah,
friend of
yeah.
mine just talked to me about it. It's sort of like Magic, sort of like a couple other things, but has a completely different type of trope to it and very narrative type.
Huh.
Very, very close to the narrative. And it's more based off the actual books, not the
I
Well,
series.
it
that
came
were
out
made.
in 02, so
Yeah, but there's a huge community in Tallahassee right now. Like some of the people I know are big top dogs in the regionals, and so I know that's been going around for a while. Their first booster came out in 2002.
And they're from, Fantasy Flight Games.
But yeah, Fantasy Flight.
Oh,
They're
okay.
the same people that did things like Dragon Farkle and oh god, I mean there's a couple games that we have that's from here.
Yeah. They also did those Star Wars.
Yeah, they
games,
do the
too.
Star Wars. They do the Star Wars tabletop games. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, we kind of touched on a little bit,
RPGs,
what
yeah.
drew you into the games. I think a lot of it was gameplay, artwork. I think here's
Loneliness.
loneliness.
Oh, yeah. It just got dropped on me.
Yes.
Honestly, Yu-Gi-Oh was just in high school. Everybody else is playing it, and I got to watch and play it a little bit with other people's decks. But I was like, I don't have my own. I can't be friends with people if I can't play my own.
Yes.
So I bought my own shit as soon as I got to college.
So we'll break it up here. We'll do girls versus boys because I feel like boys had a different reason of getting into the card
Yeah.
games versus girls. I got into the card games mostly because artwork.
Yeah, same. Even with I don't play Magic. I don't have Magic cards, but I still like to look at people's Magic cards
Magic
because
cards
the
are beautiful.
artwork
Mhm.
is gorgeous.
Oh my God.
And it's one of my favorite things. And even for Yu-Gi-Oh, I started to build as a particular deck I started to make was probably always I leaned more towards dragons because dragons are pretty.
I didn't make a dragon deck.
The ultimate girl thing.
Yeah.
Dragons are pretty.
They are.
I was like, no, dragons are OP.
Put it on my tombstone. Dragons are pretty. That's their epitaph.
Here lies Melanie.
Here lies Melanie.
She likes your dragons. They're pretty.
They're pretty.
No, okay, so again, art, and so that would fall more under what? Collectability.
Yeah.
So for you gentlemen,
It's for me, it's changed. Originally it was a collectability, at least with Pokemon, and then
Yeah, Pokemon was definitely.
it wasn't.
collectible.
I guess it wasn't until Yu-Gi-Oh that it turned into there's a scene in here. I want
Yeah.
to get in it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was more of like I said, my friend literally dropped the cards on me. It's like, hey, let's play this, and then I found out, so it was more
I didn't
for
I didn't really-
friendship.
Flawless
friendship.
victory.
For
Yeah.
friendship.
Yeah, originally, it turned from
I need some friends.
I think for me, it turned
I
from
need-
sort of loneliness to basically I realized there was a huge scene. That was the first time I really noticed it was a tournament, sort of
Yeah.
a competitive situation.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of intrigued me, and I was like, oh, I want to see what it's like to get into it, but I don't want to be like everybody else.
I also like
I don't
getting
wanna
free
build-
shit at the tournament.
I don't want to build the decks that everybody else builds all the damn
No,
time.
it's
So
gotta
I was
be
like,
unique.
I made it my all to build decks that everybody either hated or everybody was like, why? Hence the psychic healing deck.
I guess another reason why, now that I'm thinking about it, another reason why I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Besides just watching my brother's friends play, but because I only had 2 brothers. I didn't have sisters, so like I was always doing stuff that they were doing, and like I had a lot of the same friends that one of my 2 brothers had because we were very close in age. We're only 2 years apart. So like I would try. Like I started to get into Yu-Gi-Oh because that's what they would want to play all the time because they got really big into it when we were younger, and so we started to play together, and that was my way of like being able to play with them and them not be like boys only type of thing, you know, like
I want to play.
yeah, I was just like, I want to play.
They're like, ugh.
Now here's something that boils down to now. How many still have either their cards or their deck?
Oh, I do.
Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic. Well, I currently play Magic, but Yu-Gi-Oh I still have.
Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic I still have. All right.
And
Well, so we were talking about Magic. I just got into it. Like, I've known about it since it's come out, or since I was old enough to remember that it's there.
Yeah.
And I've had multiple people try to get me into it since I was a young age. I just never got into it. I loved the artwork.
Yeah,
Artwork was fantastic. But I didn't care about the gameplay. I thought it was too complicated because they were explaining to me. And I was like, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
So I never got into it. And finally, I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, again, the competition here in town was getting too rough, and I didn't care for the attitude or the characteristics of these people. So I was like, I'm not going to bother with it. And I also was like, I need to save money. So
Yeah.
So get in the match.
that's the problem with these things.
Most important thing about TCG, you just waste so much.
All the money.
on it.
You really do.
All the money.
But and then I finally decided. Well, you busted out your old Magic deck, and I was like, I want to try. I want to try it. And I was like, is there a Dragon deck? And we went to one of the local game stores here, and they had the Dragons of Dakir deck still out somehow, and I managed to grab a blue-white deck, and it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, you picked up the.
I call it Dragon Food, but that's
You picked
not
up
what it's
an
called.
event deck. I want to say.
It was a booster. It was a booster deck. It was a starter deck. It was just a starter deck.
Yeah, you had a starter deck. I'm sorry. My Infect deck was an Effect deck. Well, Invent deck that I changed, but I remember getting you into it because I was like, oh, I'm gonna bust out my Elf deck and play with like a friend of mine and get my ass kicked, and you were like, well, I kind of want to get into it. How do you play it? Well,
Yeah,
and I remember her bitching like the entire time.
Well, because I didn't understand it, because my mindset was,
Yu-Gi-Oh
I was thinking,
mind.
I was thinking Yu-Gi-Oh mind.
Because she's like, why? I'm like, okay, I need you to forget Yu-Gi-Oh for like 2
Toss
seconds.
Yu-Gi-Oh out the
Because
door.
I'm going to tell you straight up, everything you think when you think Yu-Gi-Oh makes literally no sense in Magic.
No.
Yeah.
Like,
Vice
I
versa.
thought the same thing. When someone tells me, like, oh, yeah, you synchro this and this. I'm like, why the fuck would I want to do that when I could just cost the mana and I just come back later, like, and then I can do this and this and this because I have stuff left.
Yeah. So I get it now, obviously. But, so we're going to move on to another topic kind of related to all this. So we have the physical cards.
Right.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And we are in the age of the interwebs.
Yeah.
So
Internet.
So you can go online and do everything. Well, of course, these big companies, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic, they're going to go into it. So now we have online gaming as well. With Pokemon, I've noticed, because I've gotten into a bad habit of kind of collecting them, but only certain cards because they're stupidly cute, darn it.
Yes, they are. They still are cute. I mean, that's the thing. They still are just...
Plus nostalgia.
Yeah.
So, but with Pokemon, what they've done now is it's semi-countering theft of packs, and I'll explain that in a second, as well as here's an additional thing for you. In booster packs, you can buy a booster pack, and there's an additional card in there. It's half promotion, and then back on the other side, there's a code that you can enter onto their website and actually do Pokemon TCG online. And you enter that in, and you get a pack online, and you can use those cards to create your own deck and play online. So not only do you get the physical cards, you get the cards online. Magic the Gathering doesn't do the codes, but they do have where you can go online and form a deck and play on there as well. And then there is the mobile game. Can you play it on your computer too, or is it only mobile?
For which one?
Hearthstone.
Or Hearthstone? 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 It's everywhere now.
Hearthstone.
Okay.
Yeah.
It originally started on PC. And then they was developing specifically for mobile after a while. But it was originally started on PC, and there is talks of being on console as well. But Hearthstone's great. It's based off the Blizzard's trading card game, which they are building another one apparently.
Wow.
Or something like it. Or is it them? I'm sorry. No,
it is.
Is it them?
Yeah.
Never mind. I don't remember anything about it. But it's essentially it's based off the World of Warcraft or the Warcraft
genre.
narrative.
Hence the WoW.
It's all the characters and stuff of that nature. So it's really fun, honestly. It's really easy to play.
It really is. Like I play it once in a while when I'm like super bored on my phone.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing about card games like these, and I only say this because there's more of these like this, like there's another group of people that just came out with a closed alpha that's going to have something close, like the same thing as this. But it has that idea where it's just like every other mobile game where you can buy packs.
Microtransactions.
But
and
it's like
in-game
buying
currency.
Like you're still technically doing like TCG, like a person that wastes money, but you're just doing it online instead.
Doing digitally.
Which in some cases is even worse because you have your card online and you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm totally going to just fill all this money in here. I got a PayPal account. Let's do this.
I mean, come on. Pokemon Go can make you buy stuff, and why
Yeah.
not? So,
Yu-Gi-Oh even has a mobile game.
God, do you remember the
They actually have
multiple
two.
They do have two. You're right.
The one that's like super popular right now, apparently, I just can't get into because you have to like slowly build up your deck.
I think I still have.
Oh,
it.
Duel Links.
Duel Links, yeah.
Yeah, there's another
That's
one.
the official one.
Yep, I
That's
have that
from-
one.
That's the official one. That's
That was
from
boring.
That one's the one I have.
Konami.
I haven't played it
That's the
in
official
a
one. It's
long
from
time.
Konami, and then there's the other one that most people actually play, and that's the one that's closer to like there's a wide variety.
They actually have all
What
the
was the one online? You could like literally build your deck.
Dueling
and-
Network.
Yeah,
Dueling Network.
I quit
That's still a
I
thing.
quit that because again the people on there are like.
Yeah. Oh,
And I'm
God.
like, dude.
Yeah.
Some
And
of
also
the ones
the-
I encountered were dead.
I guess
the
I
UI
never went
also
ranked.
wasn't
I
great.
started going ranked a lot, so that's what kind of changed it.
I
for
did
me.
too, but they were still dicks about it, and I was
Oh.
just like,
Yeah, so like that's one of the things that like
Especially if you play
got
traditional.
me out of
yeah,
Never play traditional
the,
on
of like
Dueling Network.
TCG
yeah.
stuff because
I just
like,
can't get
Like
into it 'cause
competitive wise, right?
yeah, because
server
like
kept
I still
crashing on.
I still have all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I still have all of them. I think unless like because my brother and I with the Pokemon cards because we collected them, we didn't actually use them because we didn't know how to play for like the longest time until basically like we were in college.
I knew how to
And we
play
had
for
friends.
like all of like a month. And
Yeah,
Still
and we
never
had
played.
and we had friends who knew how to play, but like still we just collected them. And then he, I guess, found someone who knew how to play and like actually taught him. So then he took both of our cards because they were all in the same folder, which
Yeah.
is fine. But so now I don't know if he still has them or not. But if he does, I do want mine because they're cute. And
I'm trying to get rid of I'm trying to get rid of a lot of my like commons and uncommons.
yeah.
And like I've gone through all the rares and holographics that I've had, and some of them are worth something, some of them are not. Some of them I'm holding on to just simply because of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Like I got the full original evolutions from the Jungle set.
Yep.
And most people are like, oh my god, Jungle set, whoa! And I'm like,
They're cute.
they're worth 50 cents if that. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna like, you know what? I'm not gonna sell them. I'm gonna frame it.
I'm like, they're
There you
cute.
go.
I'm gonna frame it and put it up as art because they still look cool.
I can definitely say I'm glad I'm over Pokemon TCG.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my collection got donated.
Yeah.
Right.
Donated.
Against his will.
Donated.
Yeah.
But yeah, like with Yu-Gi-Oh for me, it like people I thought were being way too competitive.
Yeah.
Like they would be just like I'm the best
Like,
and
not-
like screw
wouldn't play
you
for
because
fun.
you
Yeah,
suck.
like not like I'm actually good. I've actually made a good deck. It's
Yeah, it
more
was just like,
ha in your face.
yeah, and like oh I'm gonna constantly change my deck just so that I can beat everybody else because this is what works right now.
Yeah.
Like
how many people were trying to do that against me at that place?
there was so many people who
Everybody.
try to do that. But anyway, like
Literally everybody.
yeah, so I got out of it because like to me it just started one, they kept adding more things and that I felt it started to overcomplicate it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I lost track like after
Synchros.
synchros.
You
Yeah.
barely
I
grasped
barely
That was
I
me.
barely understand Xyz. Like
I understood. I
Everything,
understood
like-
them. I understood them. I got the concept. Didn't really care for.
but
it.
like after that point it got too complicated
Oh,
for me
it's like
and then people were
pendulums.
being just dicks about it.
So
you know,
kind
and-
of go. Speaking of being dicks, to kind of go
Yeah.
back on the whole like thing I was talking about with the Pokemon cards. The reason they stuck that code card in there,
yeah.
weighing.
Ah.
Oh yeah.
I can't tell you how much I started getting pissed off when I was at the local game store and just hanging out there and playing cards, and then like someone busts out a fucking, pardon my
Scale.
French, they bust out a scale, and they're sitting there and they
During
bought
the
packs, they
pre-release.
bought random packs, mind you, that or they bought an entire booster pack.
No, that's what. That was
or
what.
entire booster box,
And that's
then
how
they would
that's how
weigh
it was
them.
done.
Yeah.
The whole groups.
The holographic cards apparently, depending on what it was,
They have a different
added
weight.
just a little extra weight to the pack.
Yeah, this was.
Are
a-
you
So you could tell which
kidding
one
me
had
right
yeah,
your
that's how it
now?
was. Yeah, and this was
Or if you could figure out how the box was mapped out. If you bought an entire booster box, and if you could figure out how it was mapped, like if you pulled the first 3, open it up, and you go, okay, I got a common, or I got a regular rare. Open the next one, I've got an ultra rare. Open the next one, I've got a regular rare. And then if you get that pattern kept going, you could just go through the deck. And apparently, with the recent Sun and Moon decks for Pokemon, that was a big thing. They fixed it now. Like,
oh yeah.
yeah, they fixed it. They're like, nope. You
It's
don't get
actually
it.
much worse than Yu-Gi-Oh though.
Yeah.
It's much
So,
worse
like,
than Yu-Gi-Oh.
So
I
you get
don't
an
get-
ultimate
I've
rare
never-
'cause
I
it'll
did not
actually
know
like
that.
a
So
thinner
what?
card.
So basically, they would take. So for Pokemon, the most recent thing I can
Yeah.
point out is people would get the entire box of the packets.
And like weigh the box.
no, they
No,
take
weigh
the
the
box, open it
packets.
up, and they
Uh-huh.
take the packets out. And again, they can either map it,
Uh-huh.
which is a little bit more trickier because eventually the company will figure it out and change it.
Right.
But if you weigh, you can take the cards and you take them on your scale and you can weigh them.
Yeah, weigh
That
each
is-
pack.
BS.
Yeah, it's
And if
really
they would
annoying.
they would see the outliers of which one's slightly heavier.
Whichever
than
ones are the
others.
heavier ones,
Like
those are the
based
ones you
based
go
on
for.
like what the average was, and then they would open the ones that were heavier because they're more likely to have a foil.
Foil
and-
or something like super good. So
or something that's
So,
like
but
for exactly
would
what
they
need.
buy the whole box, or would they just
No.
take the box and then open and pick certain things out of it? That's
Well,
so
the mapping part. The
stupid.
mapping part. If you mapped it, the mapping part, if you had a fresh opened box, you could literally, if you figured out what the mapping was for every
Right.
box, you could literally just pick through the box and get the ones you knew were going to be really good. Or if you,
Wow.
but they also, a lot of people would just end up buying the entire
Yeah.
box and then weighing them.
The way it was,
Hey, the way
at least
they
for Yu-Gi-Oh,
resell
when we did
the other
Yu-Gi-Oh,
ones.
Yeah.
and we were at Gamescape,
That's
it would
so
happen a lot where they would just weigh, get all the good stuff, and then just give away the rest of it,
Yeah.
or
I saw
sell it.
some people threw it in
And,
a
like
trash.
some of them sold it.
I do remember
I
now.
I do remember.
I
some
remember
people
throwing
seeing somebody
trash
throw away
cards.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards one time, and I was like, "Why would they do that?" I
Somebody,
didn't
they
understand.
did this one time. So some of the people we know, they did this. And
Yeah.
Oh,
it
yeah.
pissed me off. But they did it at the Gamescape, and they did it, and they're like, "Oh, you can just have these." And I looked at them, and I was like, "That's going in my deck. That's going in my
Yeah.
deck.
And that's
That's
what.
going in my
and
deck."
that's what pissed
And
me
I
off
kicked
because
their butt the next day with the
But
cards.
the
they
Yes.
gave me.
and the thing was is that like they
It wasn't
wouldn't
even
do it
the
because
rares
they
or
only
holographics.
want a certain way
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
these are also people that like go to time and like these are tournament players and stuff, and so they would spend time trying to figure out what all the cards are, trying to figure out what's all the ones.
And they
that's
want
important.
certain rarities
They only
too.
want the certain
Oh my
ones that are there
gosh.
because if you get rarities that you even don't want, if
You could
easy to
sell for a lot
sell
of
them
money.
back, and which a lot of them
Yeah.
did that. They did that just so they could sell it because they would be worth like $20,
That's
like
so stupid.
or
Yeah.
some shit, or some
Especially
shit
at
like
the pack launch
oh
because
yeah, every
all the
pre-release,
cards
that's
are
what they do.
overpriced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Especially when you go to like a sneak peek, because the sneak peeks were like 2 weeks before the actual launch
Yeah.
of a pack, so you have cards
That's
that
so
are
stupid.
Sorry,
unreleased.
sneak peeks. It's sneak peek in Yu-Gi-Oh and
Yeah.
Magic. It's pre-release.
Yeah,
but
So-
in pre-release you couldn't do that for shit because it's a.
I don't think you can
deck.
do it with
Yep.
Magic. You can't weigh Magic,
No,
can you?
No.
the way it works,
Magic's all
and
the
even
same.
even if you buy it, it's all the same. Though, because you're always promised a foil. It's 15
Yeah.
cards. You're always promised a foil. It doesn't matter.
Yu-Gi-Oh actually got that way too.
Yeah, and yeah, they started changing it for that exact reason. But
Yeah.
because of the fact that there's things like booster drafts and pre-release tournaments, they basically do what these call are sealed decks. And so like there was no possible, and it was very similar to drafts, and so there was no possible way of anybody cheating it. You were literally at equal footing of every other person.
Which
Yeah.
that's what's gotten me more into Magic the Gathering because I feel it's more fair.
Yeah, because I was still where you're at, like where it's like, oh, I've never played it, I knew about it, but
Yeah.
And that was my biggest thing about
I
like the
understand
switch of
it.
Yu-Gi-Oh. But at least like after Exceeds, I found no interest in like any of the cards that was coming out.
Yeah, like
I
some
guess
of
it
the
was
new
just
ones.
because I got sick. I got sick of the fact that they wouldn't come out with psychic cards anymore.
Oh, they
until
come
the
out with
Psy-
some new ones
until the
now.
Psy frames,
Yeah,
but it's
now.
pendulum. I don't want to learn a whole new mechanic. Just
Well, the
for
thing
it.
I hated with their Yu-Gi-Oh's most recent ruling, I guess recent last year, they changed it because pendulums were so broken on opening hand. So now the first turn player skips their draw phase.
Ooh.
So you just draw your 5 cards, play it there. So there's no battle phase, no draw phase. So you just have main phase.
and see, that's my biggest issue with Yu-Gi-Oh.
like that was a
It's-
big change.
The rules change so
Well,
much.
here's
That
the
was the
problem. Here's
biggest
the problem with
change.
Yu-Gi-Oh is every time they come out, it just seems like when they make these cards, they don't think like people they don't like go through the cards themselves to see like, hey, maybe these are overpowered. Because literally twice in booster packs, the Tallahassee region made the reason why two cards were banned. Because immediately they were like, oh, wait, we can just do this and make an infinite loop, and they were like, oh shit, we're gonna have to ban this.
He was probably part of the problem.
I didn't take my deck to regionals though.
Yeah,
I was smart with it.
No, you figured it out.
But someone copied my deck and
then
took the same deck to regionals.
That was bullshit. You know it's bad when you come out with a structured deck and a trap card becomes banned before it even fucking releases.
Well, there's plenty of cards that have come out in booster packs, and like as soon as they've come out, they're like banned automatically. But then they're there just for collectability. But a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards aren't there for collectability; they're there for playability.
Yeah. And that's the biggest issue with Yu-Gi-Oh is that like it would be fine if you ban a card and it'd be okay, but when you like ban a card that's significant for some decks, you literally like ruin someone's deck sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
When they nerfed and limited the field card for Six Samurai,
and the continuous
As soon as they get that, it ruined the deck. So it's like,
did.
well, no one's gonna buy this. Like
They kind of ruined mine when they nerfed Red Ice Darkness Metal.
Yeah.
Because I had 3 in my deck, and honestly, I never actually ever played 3.
They only needed to do it to 2 semi-limited. They didn't need to limit it.
They limit the shit out of it, and I was like,
same with macro and Dimension Fissure.
That was another thing that got me out of it, because, and I've talked to him about this a lot. I was like, part of the reason why I don't play is because everybody wants to go by the ban list, and the ban list is always, honestly, I feel like there's some things in there that are absolutely stupid. Like, I feel like if you're going to a tournament, then you should pay more attention to those type of things, especially like anything that's like an infinite loop, like.
Right.
Yeah, but if you're casually playing.
But if you're just like casually playing, I think that you should be allowed within reason, not like 3 Red Eyes Darkness.
Well, with traditional, all the stuff that's banned, you get one of.
And see, that's why, if I do play, which I haven't played in probably like a year and a half now at this point, but if I was to play, it would only be casual, and it would only be I will only play traditional. I will not go by the ban list because it's just ridiculous.
We knew
and I'll also play with somebody who's not going to cry like a little baby over the rules and sit there and be like, no, you're doing it wrong, Ugh, hate it.
We knew someone that only wanted to do old school. Only.
Oh, only traditional.
Yeah. It pissed me off. I'm like, I'm not doing that. But she's like, but that's the only way I play. And I'm like, that's too bad. That's not how I'm playing. My deck is technically legal by all standards. Yeah. Yours is not. If you want to play it, I don't mind you playing with your deck. I don't mind it. You're still going to get your ass whooped with mine, but I don't mind it. She's like, well, I'm not going to play you if you're not. I'm like, really?
Well,
I'll play a non-traditional.
It was more so the fact that, if I remember correctly, it was just she would complain because she said it was done wrong, and because of that, it was something wrong. It was like, well, I'm playing advanced, you're playing traditional. What you gonna do about it?
I just answered your question from earlier. There you go.
Yeah, I would still play, I wouldn't mind playing against a non-traditional deck or whatever, but a lot of times the people I knew who were still actively playing, not you guys, because y'all are a lot more like me in that mentality of you're kind of getting out of it because it just got everyone just started to be assholes.
Yeah, no, they sucked the fun out of it. When I would go to some tournaments,
take the fun out of it.
I would either have people who are uber competitive, yeah, in your face, or they'd have the other person who's trap guard, sweep.
Yeah.
The only
they had no soul.
What was funny was that was the only reason I stayed in for so long. It was just because I was like, man, I'd love to whoop the shit out of these people.
Yeah. We had one friend whose deck was completely illegal, and you had a 50. You really had it was random. But he had a particular trap card in his deck. It was NBC's. It was technically a burn deck. The way it was set up.
Oh, his cop out.
Yeah, but the trap counter. Basically, you had 12 turns to try and beat him before you died. It was
he still uses that deck.
Oh no, I know it was a shit card, but it's legal, and you have, and again, it's by chance.
It's 20 turns.
Yeah.
And
was it 20 or 12?
It's 20.
Oh.
Final countdown. It's a spell card.
I was this close to kicking his butt one time, and I got down to the last one died.
I've definitely killed him enough for every time.
Yeah, I've always managed to do it.
I'm also the reason why I even got in Yu-Gi-Oh for the longest time is just to piss people off. Because the biggest thing that always annoyed me about Yu-Gi-Oh when I first got got into, especially when Secrets came out, was everybody's always obsessed with doing a TKO or
that
or
annoyed me.
3TK
or
OTK,
OTK.
excuse me, an OTK, a one-turn kill.
Yeah.
And it's like
That pissed me off.
you watch
FTK.
people do this all damn day,
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna
No.
do this.
That pissed
I'm
me
like,
off the
cool.
most.
Screw
It does.
Infernities.
I'm gonna make it so we're gonna make this the longest fucking match in the
Yep.
universe.
Yeah.
So I would make psychic heal decks and just constantly like redo things
Yep.
and be like, all right, first two turns, I have 14,000 health. Good luck, buddy.
My
Yeah.
favorite thing, and I figured it out from another person who was playing a Warriors deck, the blockade.
Oh,
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes, that's one of my favorite
Oh, man.
things.
I managed to the dragon deck. I ran a dragon deck, and you, not totem dragon, golem dragon.
Golem Dragon, you get 2 of those out.
Yeah.
Well, it's tricky because you have to figure out how to do it. You can, if you got golem dragon, play it in defense, and of course the defense is like hella high, so it could get hit, and you'd be like,
And then
oh,
flip
and
him.
you just flip it.
Yep.
And then you can put a second one in defense, and they had the potential to hit them.
Mm-hmm.
But and if they did, again, it flips over because again it's defense. But then they're infinite loop playing off each other. You can't attack any of the other cards, and
Yep.
you can't attack the other one because of
Yep.
its own effect. So
Yeah.
it's like you can't hit me unless you
Well,
play a spell or trap.
That's
I
kind of
love to
why
do
I love
that,
doing
yeah.
the fighting one, only because they weren't.
Oh, Marauding
great-
Captain.
Marauding Captains. They
Yeah,
weren't
that's
great-
what it was.
They weren't great cards. They
No.
were like
Little 1,200
Yeah,
rules.
like they weren't shit. They
Well,
weren't
you
like
get 2
Golden
of them
Dragon.
out.
I was like, I'm here with 2,000 defense.
Yeah, but you could
You do
easily.
something.
Well, Marauding
you could
Captain
easily
had
get
the
rid of it though
special
with a trap or
summoning
spell
thing.
card. Like
Yeah.
you can easily bust out a synchro Dark Rose Dragon, just blow the field, and that
Yeah.
clears
It's the
it.
same with Marauding, but you have to stare at his smug ass face.
He's
Yeah.
like, hey.
Yeah, he's like,
You're like-
hey there.
Because he's sitting there like,
But yeah, but then you got Totem with like. Come at me,
Nah.
bitch.
Like, I didn't even use a monster for my lockdown. I had it was Macrocosmos or any
Oh,
remove
I
from play,
remember
Yeah.
that.
and then
I
Gravekeeper
hated it.
Servant.
Servant.
It's like, oh, you want to attack? Hey, you have to send a top card to the graveyard. Oh wait, it can't go to the graveyard. I guess you can't attack.
Yeah. I
remember that.
hated
It's such
that.
bullshit.
I hated playing against your deck, and I love you, but I hated playing against your deck so
The
much
macro.
because it was, and I remember it was such a good deck, and it was before they banned anything out of that, and then I remember like the next 2 weeks or whatever after him having that deck and kicking everybody's ass with it. The next 2 weeks later, everyone was trying to copy his deck.
Yeah.
There was 3 people who were like, "Look, I built a remove from play deck." I'm like, "Oh, how original! That's cute."
Oh, yeah.
Like,
and then of course everyone tried to build Dragon deck. And,
Yeah.
like,
yeah,
But okay, so kind of moving on to kind of end this whole thing here.
Can I talk about something?
Yeah, okay, so
there was one
before-
more thing that actually pisses me off,
What?
and the biggest thing that pisses me off is proxies.
Oh my God,
I hate
yes.
proxies.
That is the dumbest.
any game.
In
You
any
are
card
In
game.
any card game, you are a bitch to me.
Yeah.
If you use proxies,
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Yeah,
Hang on, I have an exception. If you are a legitimate player, if you're a legitimate player
yes,
and you have a deck mind in your head, you're like, I want to try this.
yes.
And you go up to someone and say, hey, I have this idea. I am playing with proxies for right now until I can actually go and get those cards if I feel like this is going to work.
That is acceptable.
I mean,
That's
it better be in
fine.
the mail.
will accept it.
But
better be
you
in the
have
mail
to
on the
tell
way.
me.
Yeah.
You can't just
Here-
come up and say, "I'm going to battle you with this deck," and then you have
50 proxies.
20 proxies out of
I was gonna say,
40.
here you go. I will say no if you have more than 5 proxies in your deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. If you don't have it, I don't care.
Use what
I
you
don't know
got,
how
people.
many times I'll
Yeah.
go to TCC and be like, all right, I got this and this and this, and I'm putting out this. I was like, what's that? And it was like, it's
a piece of
this. And I was
paper.
like, that's not what it is. That's a piece of paper. Well, that's what it is. Well, I'm not counting it. It was like, why? It's a proxy. Do I give a shit? You don't have the card. Move on, bitch. Like, I
Yeah.
don't really care. Like, why the hell? I have to put in my hard fucking money to build my deck the whole way and work with what I got. You
Yep.
can't do the same thing.
Yeah. And there would be people I remember there was people who would have
Their entire
20
deck was
No,
dead.
we
It
had
was
someone
pretty
had
much
the
there
entire
was
deck.
somebody who had an entire.
It was actually the bad thing. It was a proxy deck that was copied
Okay.
off of one of my other
Yeah,
decks.
no, there was also a proxy deck. Someone did a proxy deck off your macro deck.
No, it was
And
my
I re-
Melfic.
Yeah, the
Melfix.
Melfic. I remember that, and
I
it was
remember
like
that.
I looked at him and I was like, "Fuck you, I'm not playing." He was like, "Why?" It was like, "Unless you take all of your proxies out and play with what you got, I don't give a."
You only
shit."
had 2 cards.
Yeah. Good luck.
He
build a
tried
deck
against
with
me.
what
I
you
told
got.
him straight up no. I'm like, no. He's like, why? I'm like, because you don't actually have them.
Yeah.
And again, back to the whole reading thing. I can't read it, so I don't know what it's supposed to do.
Exactly.
And they were really trying to explain it to him. I was like, I'm not. How am I
No.
supposed to believe you?
Yeah. And I'm not going to sit there with my phone or my computer
and look it up
yeah.
every freaking time.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I only humored him because I already knew what his entire deck did. So I'm like, all right, you want a mirror match? Let's mirror match.
Yeah.
And the real cards won. So I'm like, well, the cards don't lie.
Yeah. So okay, so to kind of get this to an end here. So, Mike, do you still collect? And which one?
I guess so. I guess I do. Me and you collect MTG now.
Okay. Jeff, do you collect in which one?
And unfortunately, no, I've gotten out of collecting. I would like to get back into it. I'm just like, oh, that money though,
Yeah.
you know.
Mel, do you collect in which one?
I have been out of collecting.
You've been out longer than I have.
I've probably, compared to the four of us here, like I've probably stopped as far as like all of that goes.
It's okay.
I know, right?
You have a savings now.
Yes.
You have the money.
I still have, like I said, I still have my cards, and like I would still play like one of you guys.
I'll throw
and
down right
humor
now.
you. Yeah, like I would.
Wait, hang on.
Yeah. Let me just go. Yeah. So like I
Sorry,
would
I got
still
extra
I would
decks.
still probably play with, you know, like I would never play competitively. No, it's stupid. Like, well, not it's stupid. The people who do it sometimes are just like I
You have
don't.
ones that are really good at it, and they do make good money off
Yeah.
of it. And those are the ones I'm like, cool, you go for it.
I always just there was always the assholes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those
There's
are the ones
always
who
the
made. I
people.
was like, I'm not. No, no.
I love.
So,
kicking
and to
their
answer
ass.
the question for myself,
That's a field man.
yes. As you said, we do the MTG, mostly because I'm still trying to like figure out how to play it, and also I wanted to do like a different one besides what I already have.
Yeah, I'm still trying to. Build a
And
different
I
deck.
recently got back into Pokemon, but mostly again just for the nostalgia's sake. I had planned to take some of my older cards, like the extra ones, the ones that aren't worth anything and are just laying around, and making maybe like a card purse out of it, like an actual purse out of the cards.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
It's creative, and if it's good enough, I can try and sell it.
Yeah, I've thought about because Pokemon Go and like
Yeah.
you know all the recent Pokemon games that have come out in the last 2 years. Because X and Y was huge, and I think that was one of the things even before Pokemon Go.
I like
That
X and Y
game
better.
was.
Anyway,
Did I say Sun and Moon? I meant.
You said X and Y.
Okay.
You said excellent.
Yeah,
I was just saying I
X-
like that one the best.
Yeah, like I feel like that was the one that like really got like people our age back into Pokemon game because it was so good, and it was like, oh, this is like how Red and Blue like
It didn't
Yeah.
have a
kind of
feel.
worked. Like it
Yeah.
had the feeling
that
of like
and it was brand spanking new
Yeah.
Pokemon, and they actually
Yeah.
looked good.
and
It was
so
the first 3D Pokemon game.
that
Yeah.
too like
handheld
I was gonna say,
3D.
I think because of the revolution
Yeah.
of the game.
Never
itself,
forget Pokemon
it was-
Night.
Yeah.
Yes.
But but I think the biggest thing because of popular X and Y and because of like what it brought to the table.
Yeah.
Because it was a whole new thing, it brought a lot of new things to the game itself, like mechanics, stuff of that nature.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was booming on a handheld console that's already like super
Yeah.
popular. I think it just helped the Pokemon company like
it did.
be able
Right.
to go back. Oh man, we can milk the shit out of this again.
Yeah. Well, because it did, like it did, and it brought back all the feelings, all the memories.
Yeah.
You guys. But yeah, so like that plus then like Pokemon Go, and I got really into that, and then Sun and Moon, which I need to get back into. I haven't even finished it yet,
I
but
haven't
still.
either.
I'm starting it back.
Yeah. So that, and
Yeah.
then like all of that to say, like I am at the point where like. Probably the next time I see Pokemon cards, I might buy a pack just for the heck of it.
Don't go to Toys R Us, just letting you know.
No,
They
no.
want $6 for one pack.
It's
Oh.
expensive as fuck. in
No.
Toys R Us now.
But yeah, no, but
I'm
but,
sorry,
like,
a booster pack, not like a pack box.
Yeah.
Like a booster pack.
oh jeez, yeah.
So yeah,
But like,
back
I
in my
might,
day.
I might just because, and again, it wouldn't be to play. It would just be again for collecting's sake,
Yeah.
you know.
I
Because like
won't
that's
lie,
always
I-
how it. That's always how it was with the
Yeah.
Pokemon cards
I
with
won't
me
lie,
because it's just like the game. It's like I want to catch them all. To be like really cheesy, but you know.
I've always loved the evolutions, and
Oh my
I
God, yes.
recently found out that there was a Flareon EX card, and it was, I think it's EX. It's either
It's
EX
EX.
or RC.
It is. It's an
EX.
EX.
But it's stupidly cute, and I was like, nope, I gotta have it, and I got it for a good
The
deal.
Flareon?
Yeah,
I
the
wish
Flareon. I got it for a
all
good
the
price. So I was like,
evolutions
okay, I'll
come
do
out
that.
there.
Otherwise, the other ones, again, I'm gonna most likely frame a lot of these older cards that I have. That, again, aren't really worth anything online, but to me, they have the nostalgia factor, and I
Yes.
like them.
Yes.
Chestnut, Pangoro. That's all I
I'm
need.
trying to find them for
After
you.
that,
I'm trying.
I'm done.
I'm trying.
Well, you got Pancham.
I got
And
Pancham.
Pancham!
And I
I
have the
love
Blast.
Pancham.
I've got the
Pancham's so
Blastoise
cute.
for you. We're framing those as well.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, just kind of laid off. Do we want to end this possibly now, or do you want to do it with end it with a best play made for when you're playing cards?
Plus best
It can be
made.
it can be
Yeah.
either
Oh, you know-
either of the 3 card games, but only one of them.
I would like to say my best played was again with my second Healy deck.
So
I was
Yu-Gi-Oh.
playing in Yu-Gi-Oh. I was playing in a tournament. It was a local tournament at Gamescape, and I remember the guy was playing with a gear deck. Like it was a gear / machine deck. Remember the machines at the time? They were super overpowered. And I remember he tried so hard to give me an OTK by dealing like 10,000 enough on there. I'm just sitting there like, oh man, what am I gonna do? I got 2 turns. What's happening? I place down my trap card, and he's like getting down, like trying to get everything going, and he's got it all in one card, mixing it all together to the fusion. I was like, all right, I got something for 12,000 health. Go, draining shield. So I'm sitting there with 12,008. What was it?
12,800.
No, it was,
No. I had 20,000.
Yeah, because it's
I had
8,000. It starts with
20,000
8,000.
Oh yeah.
And so he had to spend the entire time trying to put me down.
That's
He ran out
hilarious.
of cards.
Yeah.
Oh, you
And I
top
kept
decked him.
healing after that. And so I'm just sitting there like, cool, I'm going to keep doing this. And I started bringing out Life Transfer.
That fucking...
It's so much shit. I kept removing cards from play and then bringing them back in until I was healing. I ended the game with him running out of cards with 34,320 HP.
Jesus.
Good lord.
And I walked out the door. And I was like, I'm not gonna win after this, so I'm gonna leave with this, and I'm fine. That was my game. That was my play.
So Mel, do you have one? It doesn't have to be major or anything like that, but just like that one that made you feel like, yes, I got this.
Probably it was probably had to be a match against my brother because he always like
Gets his ass kicked.
No.
No, it just gets uber competitive, especially
no,
with
Yeah.
like me and him. I mean, we're like I said, we're very close.
Sibling
We're 2
rivalry.
years apart. You know, we're always trying to like one up each other.
Right.
You know, but like the way he was in Yu-Gi-Oh, he was always extremely competitive. Like in his mentality of like, especially when it came to me, and like sometimes he wouldn't always like tell me everything. Like, but I just remember this is like. I think this is like when I first got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! And you built me a dragon deck. A really good dragon deck. Because I like dragons.
Right.
They're pretty. Again, I like dragons. They are pretty. So, Jeff built me a dragon deck. And he was like, and I was like, but I don't even understand, blah, blah, blah. And he was just, I mean, like, he didn't say it cheesy, but he's just like basically like believe in the heart of the cards type of thing. You
the deck will take care of you.
Yeah, he's like, this deck will take care of you. Like, you will defeat your brother. So
I love building decks.
yeah, and there was one time where like, and I think again this is like when he was into his like machines,
Yeah.
like his
The
machine,
gears.
the gear deck and all that stuff, and he was like he got like the big I don't even remember.
I know
Ancient
what
Gear,
you're-
whatever.
Dragon?
Yeah.
The
Like, he
dragon or the golem?
I don't even
It's
know.
one of the
I can't
two.
even remember. He got it out basically, and I don't even remember now what cards were in it. But basically, I ended up just like completely destroying it, and then was able to like I don't remember if I killed him in the same. I don't think I killed him in the same turn, but like still like just him like being so like I got out this thing, and then I was like, no, you don't, and then and then I was able to beat him in that duel, and that was like one of the first times because like I tried it out against Jeff, and like Jeff was like not going easy, but like he was trying to like get me used to the deck,
Yeah.
and so it wasn't like I had to actually like seriously was like, all right, I gotta beat this person, So that was like satisfying because it was my brother, and he was always just like, you can't beat me, and I was just like, yes, I did,
So I got a good one. Again, most of these are gonna be Yu-Gi-Oh stories.
And then
because that's all we play.
anytime you could like, back when you could use Mirror Force, anytime you could Mirror Force somebody, it just felt
So
good
satisfying.
in your
It did.
soul.
Especially when they had
Especially
5
when
monsters
they had some
out.
big ass thing. They're like, I'm about to screw you over.
No.
And you're like,
No.
but are you though?
You want to talk about feeling good from playing your cards from your hand? So I was doing local tournaments just because like it was kill time. basically Time to Kill I had back then.
Yeah.
And I had my dragon deck, and I was going up against this little girl who was like kicking everybody else's butt with her deck, and I had no idea what her deck was. Like, y'all have heard this story, but I didn't know what her deck was. She didn't really know she kind of knew what my deck was.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there playing, and I've got my dragons coming out, and I'm hitting her because she keeps putting all her cards in defense, and I was just like, okay. So I hit her cards with some of my lower ones, and it was just enough to kill them, but the effect of that card was she could draw a certain card out from a certain level or certain attack or defense from her deck. So she'd go through her deck and get one and put it in her hand, and she'd play another card, and I'd hit it, and then she'd get another. And so it would continue with that, and it did it about 4 turns. And I've got my hand, and I've got a really crappy hand. I've either got too many overpowered cards or too many trap and monster cards or spell cards that aren't going to do me any good right now. So I had one card in my hand, spell card, hand destruct, or card destruction.
Card destruction.
So I was like, honestly, I was just like, you know what? I got a crap hand, card destruction. And the card, basically at the time, it was, I lose my hand, you lose your hand, and we redraw that many cards that we had. Yep. So I'm sitting there like casually like re-putting everything, pulling up the number of cards I had before, and she's just kind of looking at me like, oh my god. And I'm like, what? And she's like, you beat me. And I was like, what? She goes, you beat me. And I was just like, no, I didn't. What are you talking about? She shows me her old cards. 4 of the 5 Exodia cards. Basically, if she got
it was an Exodia deck.
Yeah, if she got that one more card,
that is hilarious.
But I beat her with that one card. Again, I had no idea. And trust me, after that, I just had like this huge grin on my face, and I was like, yes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I really love ruining people's parties. That's my...
Jeff, end us off here.
Okay, so mine was also at a local tournament. I was playing my macro deck, and I was playing against, I guess, what was big at the time? Infernities? I think it was Infernities, which they had this ridiculous loop.
Oh, the Inferno something.
No, like they're based, no, Infernities. Like they're the fiends that are based on like Western themes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So the Infernities, which before they became big, I wanted to get into it, but then everybody else was getting into it. I'm like, nope, too mainstream.
He's like, I'm not a bandwagon jumper.
Nope. So I'm like, I'll stick with my macro, remove from play, whatever. So we're going neck and neck. Of course, the first round, because tournaments are best 2 out of 3. First round, he gets a crap hand. I luck out and beat him. Second round, he beats me. So this third round, this is the one that's going to decide it.
Yeah, best 2 out of 3.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this one's the one to decide it. So we're neck and neck. We're just tearing into each other. Like, he's blowing up my field. I'm blowing up his stuff. We get down. The duel lasts so long that time is called, because you're only allowed 40 minutes for the whole round. So time is called. So once time is called at a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, you have 2 more rounds, and then whoever has the lower life point loses.
Right.
So, and we were tied at life points. So actually, we went 2 rounds. We were still tied. And they're like, all right, we'll just give you 1 more, and after this, we'll do it. So I draw freaking Heart of the Cards moments, because there's... When the duel lasts this long, because my remove from play also milled, so there was a lot of cards out of play. I draw DD Dynamite, which does 300 damage for every card out of play in the duel.
So perfect, because you burn all
and
the...
so,
oh my gosh, yes.
I play it, then his turn. After his turn ends, they're like, we're going to call it in a draw. And so, at the beginning of his turn, I activate it, and it just, and like at this point, everybody at the tournament had stopped dueling. They're all watching. Like, all these eyes are on this duel. They're like, oh man, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? It's neck and neck. Oh man. And then when I throw down that DD Dynamite, everyone's like, oh! And I'm like, how the crap did I pull that out of my ass?
It's always that lucky draw.
That was great.
Heart of the Cards.
Because really, I should have lost that duel.
So yeah,
all right, Yugi. Jeez.
So yeah, like if you want to get into TCG, it's not cheap.
Definitely not.
You can start off fairly, but if you get heavily invested, it's going to be expensive. Like I'm getting to the point now where like after this whole after the ordering round that I did recently, I'm done, because I'm just like no.
If you want to be on a budget,
unless it's individual cards and it's for a good price, then yes. But otherwise, I'm not gonna go out and buy packs. I'm not gonna go out and buy
Randomize.
boxes and stuff because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Now, you could always try your hand at the trading game.
Yeah.
I used to be super in.
I was-
into trying
I'm
to
giving
decide.
up.
good at it.
I'm sending. And by the time I'm sending off a good chunk of some old like Neo Destiny, Genesis, and Discovery cards, Pokemon, to this YouTuber that I watch because he has a really appreciation for the older generation cards, and I'm like,
That's
I
cool.
can feel your passion. I know you have a great appreciation for it. Please have these.
Take
Yeah.
care of them.
Not
Huh?
that old.
Well, older than what is out now.
Yeah.
We ain't
so-
talking basic.
That's me.
Unless it's dull.
No.
Unless you get Professor Oak. Yeah, that's always a good one to have.
I got Professor Oak. Anyway.
I have
Are you a boy or a girl?
Oh gosh.
So yeah,
That's a
if you
really
decide to
Did
get
you
into
just
it,
assume my gender, Professor? Okay.
if you do decide to get into trading card games, pick one. I recommend. If you decide to do collecting, that's completely fine. Just be aware that you're going to be investing heavily into certain things.
MTG.
Magic the Gathering, I feel, is going to have a little bit more value in terms of card pricing, as well as playability wise, as well as people you're going to meet. Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, Pokemon's good for nostalgic sake. Yu-Gi-Oh! If you want to meet assholes and play a decent
If you're
game.
very competitive.
Yes.
Yeah.
But either way, it doesn't even have to be those three major ones. It can be the Game of Thrones ones. If you want to try and revive Bleach
Something
and all the
else.
other ones.
Yeah, go
like-
get Bleach. Just
No,
save somebody
no,
buys it.
Digimon. Go for the Digimon. Bring it back.
Or you can even play online. There you can even purchase codes for Pokemon on eBay and Amazon and just play online instead. Or some of the other ones like Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think
Magic has an
Hearthstone's
online,
free.
and
You can play Hearthstone
Hearthstone's
free. Some of these things you can just
yeah, the
I
Duel
do
Links
definitely
is free.
recommend Hearthstone.
Hearthstone's
if
definitely
you
a
want
lot of
something
fun.
pretty
Get,
simple to play and has a very.
I've yet to play, but I've heard
Very
from a
cool.
lot of people
It's
that it's a
fun.
fun
It's
one
great.
to
It's a
play.
great game.
Yeah.
So
you
yeah. TCG is gonna be around for a while, it seems, right?
Yay.
Yeah, apparently it's not gonna die.
Nope. So we're gonna leave it at that. We'll be back for another session some other time whenever we figure out a good topic to talk about and laugh about and have fun with. Thank you for listening. We're gonna say good night and goodbye and geek out, everybody.
More nerd explosions.
Yay! Happy 4th.